If there is one critical thing in business, it's about understanding that you play in two very different places. The first one is what we go and call our profit and loss statement. And we all know about that. It's the revenue minus the expenses equals hopefully a profit, or sometimes equals a loss, right? And the reality of it is that most real estate people are very focused on top line revenue. And you hear it everywhere we go. This is the amount of GCI that we wrote. This is what our turnover figure was, all that sort of stuff. And no one really looks at the profit number in terms of comparison because we all do different things. A small business, for example, has a lot of benefits associated with putting different things in their family life through that particular profit and loss statement. Whereas a publicly traded company will actually have a different set of accounts which need to be audited and a whole range of things that go around it. Now, the secret is that profit and loss statements are massively important, and we want to drive profitability in the business because profitability actually helps with saleability inside of a business. And what's really important in having a look at that profit and loss statement is actually understanding what percentage of the revenue comes from recurring revenue and what percentage of the revenue comes from a particular writer as opposed to being spread across a sales team. Now, if it's spread across a sales team, it reduces the risk inside of the business. And so therefore, off the back of it, if a particular person left the business would still continue, as opposed to other businesses where a key person is producing like 60, 70, 80% of the revenue, and if they left, the whole business would collapse. Now, the secondary thing, and this is the most important part for business owners today, is to realize that it's not just the profit and loss statement where things are ultimately won or lost, it's also on the balance sheet. Now, the balance sheet is ultimately having a look at the total number of assets we have inside the organization, minus the liabilities, the debt structures, and then having a look at what our total net assets really are. Now, inside of a residential real estate businesses, we actually have things like our brand. There might be some goodwill associated with that particular brand. But most importantly, the majority of our saleable value is tied up in our recurring revenue streams, traditionally around what we're doing inside of our property management business. There is a saleable value around the sales business as well as a saleable value being around any other assets that the business might own, which could actually include the commercial freehold of your business. And this is what I want you to start thinking about. Whilst you're so busy dealing for others, helping buyers and sellers to buy and sell, don't forget to buy and sell for your own firm. And that is a really important conversation. I know that a number of multi-generational businesses have done very well because at some point the business owner made the decision to buy a freehold and to move into that freehold and become their own tenant. And the benefit of doing that, it gives them an asset, it gives them rent increases over time, but ultimately, most importantly, that the business is now paying down an asset which at some point it can either lend against, it can sell, or it can actually do something with in terms of redevelopment. Now, why is this such a critically important part? Most people think that it's only about building property management. It could actually be about buying your own commercial freehold and then selling that freehold and doing that again over and over and over again during the lifetime of actually owning your real estate practice. What's the most important part? It's not just profit and loss. It is also balance sheet, and there is nothing wrong with building a significant pile of assets sitting inside of the balance sheet of your organization. Let's get clear. It's time to get really focused on the things that matter inside a business, building for saleable value and making sure the business doesn't just make a little profit, but an extreme profit so you can reinvest, to reinvent, to make sure that you stay relevant to the marketplaces of now and the future.